Strong Enough merch is now available. Go to strongenoughpod.com and see all the things that you can get to show your strong enough pride, as well as remind people and yourself that you are strong enough and you are worth it. Welcome to the Strong Enough Podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people from all walks of life. I'm your host, Claudia. Today we have two return guests who both had amazing first appearances that left you guys wanting to hear more. They're going to talk about faith, fatherhood, and sobriety. Please help me welcome Marcus Torgerson and James Yount. Marcus and James, we have already had a good time and we just started recording. I'm so stoked to have both of you here. This may be my biggest regret, though, is putting the two of you in one podcast room together at the same time.
Thank God for editing, though. So worst case scenario, if all of a sudden she mutes us, then we know for sure we went too far.
There is not a too far. Well, we have never reached it. So I challenge you.
Oh, be careful what you ask for.
Ways to die.
Yeah.
Everybody now, you in the back.
We are going to have some fun today. So both of you guys have been on here before. Marcus, it's been a minute. I hadn't seen you on Strong Enough in a minute. James, it's been like 10 seconds since you were on. So what's been going on? Marcus, let's start with you. Tell everybody a little about yourself and what's been happening in life.
Well, I recommend that if you want to know more about me, you would go and listen to our previous podcast. So that's probably first and foremost. And then Google my name, and that'll come up with some stuff. And then after that, I've just been I've been pretty fortunate. I've been pretty blessed. So far this year, I've done some traveling and been able to do some stuff and I don't even know what to call it, like educating people on how to kick bad guys in the balls. So there's that, right? And I'm talking to men's groups about faith-related stuff. But really, I'm not really doing a whole lot. Me and James, we talk every day. We said I get a text message from him every day. If I don't get a text message from him, I know something's wrong with the universe. But other than that, I'm really just kind of living. I'm living every day with whatever comes my way, and I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. Tupac, move over. There you go.
Amen.
We did talk earlier that we might wrap a little bit. Now, you mentioned that you have done some stuff. Have you also done some things? Or just stuff, no things?
Yeah, the things will be happening later on this year.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's on all jokes aside. And I know the person listening is like, look, if she asks a direct question, can you just answer her? I am in this transition of not really knowing what it is I'm supposed to be doing and trying to get out of a box that I put myself in of description of self. I'm kind of just, not kind of, I need to be very mindful of my words. I am walking in a straight direction, and unless my faith kicks me to another direction, I'm just going to keep going in this direction. And whatever comes, what may, will come what may. And I'm just enjoying this time in my life. It's the best time I've ever had in my life right now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You've spent 30 years to get to this point, right?
Oh, a little more than that. Yeah. You are so awesome. Yeah, it's been well, I'm 54 now, so let's say it's been 50 years. 50 years of going from unhappiness to all the trials and tribulations that I've come to the conclusion. I know for a fact they needed to happen so that I could have this conversation, so that somebody will hear something from one of us in this thing and it will impact them positively and make a change. And I wouldn't regret any of it. I'll take every crummy thing to be able to keep saying the my truth, whatever that is, my truth.
James, I mean, we already have a ton to talk about, but what's up with you? How have you been? Tell everybody a little about yourself.
Well, I guess if you really want to know the whole long backstory, kind of like piggyback off what Marcus said, they can Google my name or watch our previous episode. Since the last time we spoke, I've gone back to school full time. It's kind of a two-part thing. One is so I can be an addiction counselor, which is a little less schooling, so I can get my feet into the area I feel like I'm being guided to by the Lord. Just kind of spoke to me one day, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But my ultimate goal is to go back and get my master's degree, so I can be a therapist. For men who are stubborn like me, who won't admit that they need help, and so I feel like, sort of like Marcus, I'm trying to stay as linear as possible, but also being as flexible as possible of where I need to be directed and where I need to go. So that's kind of what's up with me is work, kids, school, you know, um, and just trying to be happy with where I'm at, despite of some other underlying issues that still haven't quite worked themselves out. But I think in the end, it is just like Marcus said, it is just being happy with where you're at, and it didn't take me as quite as long as Marcus. It took me 40 years. So I'm working on year number 3 of truly understanding what joy and happiness is.
You know, I I think one of the things both you guys mentioned that I really appreciate, and I think a lot of people don't do, is enjoying life and being happy in the moment. So many people are comparing themselves to everybody else, especially with social media now.
Mhm.
And well, this person has that, and this person has that, and I only have X. What is it in you guys that has given you the ability to really be content and happy with where you are right now?
As far as being able to be content and being okay with where I'm at right now is just knowing where I came from. It's like when you're below the gutter or below street level and you dig yourself back up to the curb, and even if you're still looking at that house up on the driveway of where you want to get to, uh I'm just happy to be where I'm at. I'm happy to be alive. Like I'm happy that, you know, scratch that. Happiness is fleeting. I am joyful. You know what I mean? Happiness is the moment. Joyful is lasting, and I am joyful. Even in the midst of some things that are still, you know, not quite where they need to be in my life, without getting too personal. Um, I find the joy is being able to look back on where I was 3 years ago and to who the man I am today, and being able to like pat myself on the back enough to say, hey, look at what you've done. You know, you can go further. And I think that's where it is. It's simply just being able to go, hey, you're not there. You're not where you want to be, but be grateful and for what you have and where you're at, because God has a purpose for you. And I'm so excited just to be able to explore that purpose, you know. And I think that keeps me grounded in the moment. That keeps me joyful.
I'm trying to. My words are going to be very similar to his. It's not really a surprise. But I'll say this for sure: having joy, a cheerful heart, grace, and grace is just one of those words that we take for granted. For example, every day I wake up and say thank you for giving me another day.
Amen.
I'll do mobility in the morning and I'll say thank you for giving me the ability to move my body at my age with the abilities that I do. Now, if we take that and we can be grateful for those simple things, when we start to look into social media and we look at the Joneses and we start to compare, it's if you're thankful and grateful in the moment, it's a lot easier to not fall victim to that stuff. And secondly, as James said earlier, when you look at your past, if you will just be honest and say, in the past, I have always wanted to be like this. And the words, the verbiage, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I'm married. I'll be happy when I'm 100 pounds lighter. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. That has never worked in the history of humanity. So to get rid of that and just say, hey, and you heard James, he said, there's things that still need to be worked on. Well, the truth is I think until we have our last breath, we should be constantly striving for and continuing to improve aspects of our lives. If you tell me I have everything and I have a perfect life, there's a red flag there. That scares the heck out of me. Forget it. So, to answer your question, grace, a cheerful heart, have joy, stealing off of James, and being grateful. If you can do all
Hmm.
that, you don't have to worry about comparing to the next person, because there is no need to compare.
Let's talk a little bit about faith because you guys are both very faithful, maybe also spiritual. Some people consider those two different things. But a lot of times when you think about faith, you don't necessarily see it coming from guys that look like you. Let's be honest.
Really
Big.
good looking, handsome men.
I was getting ready
Is that what you meant,
yes,
James? I think that's what she meant.
yes. Here,
I would.
here I go.
Ruggedly
I'm gonna.
handsome.
Yes,
You know
Okay, I
what's
ruggedly
just want
funny?
to make sure.
handsome.
Sorry, my bad. I just want to make sure we
Yeah,
had clarity on
yes,
That's
that.
the
Good, good.
descriptive
Okay.
word I used for myself, which is excellent that you chose that, is ruggedly handsome.
Ruggedly
yes.
handsome.
Y-
Yes.
I'm gonna go ruggedly handsome, muscular, fit, and tattooed. All of these things.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
do you ever
Yeah.
find that people are surprised, once they get to know you and learn about your faith, that they're kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that from you?
I'm not when I'm around people who have some type of faith, regardless, and real quickly, faith, spirituality, you know, in the beginning, James was is a witness, and actually you might be as well. My transition in the last year or so, I've been more honest about my verbiage, because I didn't want to offend people by bringing up God or Jesus. I didn't want people to be like, I'm done with it. And a good friend of mine, who you both know, Brolick, she
Mhm.
was like, look, man, you gotta be honest. If how you feel about that is fine, but if be honest about it. And after that, so if you say the universe, whatever, look, as long as you're not saying I love Satan, I don't give a shit what you have to say. Be you, because there is only one God as far as I'm concerned. Whatever you want to believe is what you believe. To answer your question, it's not the new people I meet that have a problem with it. Believe it or not, the resistance that I'm getting are people from my past. I have a massive, massive. It feels like a massive amount. I don't know how. It could be one, but I get a lot of resistance. Oh, Marcus, now you found Jesus. Oh, I like the old Marcus. I like the guy who cussed every 5 seconds. I like the old Marcus, the drinking Marcus, or I like the Marcus who did blah blah blah. Like, they like that version of me. And I have to say this, that anybody, and this goes to anybody listening, if people prefer an old version of you and you're doing positive, healthy things to make you a better version of you, and you're not hurting anybody else, then that's a fine sign to say, I need to cut you loose. So if I meet somebody who's a believer and they're like, I'm a Christian, I'm like, cool, right on. And they come at me with, well, the tattoos, or, Marcus, I've heard some of your stuff and you tend to cuss a lot. Well, you're going to have to show me some grace then, because I'm a cussing Christian at times. I stole that from Steve Harvey. And I don't believe that the people that I need to speak to, and James, I think, will piggyback on this in a moment, but I believe, as I read in the book of Matthew, I'm not here for the healthy, I'm here for the sick.
Amen.
My job is to sit there and talk to people who are not believers. They're the ones that I need to talk to, because they're the ones who say, I don't believe in God. Well, I need to sit there and be like, whoa, hold on a second. I get it. I hear you. However, now if there's a Christian or a believer or anybody, I don't care, whatever your faith is, and you're like, no, Marcus, I really don't like what you have to say. Well, I really don't give a shit, because the people that I respect and love will love me, and they guide me. God guides me. So your opinion is irrelevant.
Well, I think in my own experience is I was sort of like Marcus. In the beginning, it was like, sort of like, yeah, spirituality or faith, like, not wanting to offend anybody. But I was actually in church one time and they were discussing, like, well, what are you afraid of? And so since that moment, it's like, you know what, I am going to profess that, yes, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, that I do believe in the God from the Christian Bible, and that this is who I am. But as far as people, wanting to judge me for my tattoos or my appearance or my missing teeth, or that I wear my past, on my shoulders and on my sleeves, man, I kill them with kindness. I do the exact like little old lady. For example, I do a lot of walking. It's how I started losing weight. I mean, I'm in the gym a lot, but walking has is not just I don't do it for exercise anymore. I do it for my head. The other day, I see this woman. She's probably in her late 70s, early 80s, struggling to shut her big car door. I come up with a big smile, like, "Hey, can I help you close your door for you? It looks like you're struggling." Like I do things like that because they're unexpected by somebody who looks like me, and I think that is. I smile. I smile, and I try to. Um, I was reading that book, the Michael Todd book we had discussed with Marcus,
Yep.
Crazy
Babyface.
Faith.
Crazy faith.
Yeah, it's Crazy Faith, and there was a part in there that has it was early on in the book, and it was he was talking about his own father and how his
Hmm.
father was the closest manifestation to being Christ as a human being could be, and that's something that I try to I write daily in my journal. Is like, let me be a manifestation of your light and love here on earth. And so I try to conduct myself as best I can. Do I swear all the time? Damn right I do. And even in prayers to God, I cuss. That's part, that's like Marcus said, allow me that grace. Like, I mean, I'm still human, and
Hmm.
I like I've given up sex, drugs, booze. Like,
Not rock
let
and
me
roll though. You ain't giving
no,
up drinking.
not rock and
Okay.
roll, not
Thank
caffeine, and not
goodness.
and
Right.
not swearing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
allow me those things. But I think that's just it. It's that you want to judge me for my tattoos or my faith, that's fine. Give me 5 minutes, and if I can't win you over, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to appease anybody. I'm comfortable and happy being me, and it's taken me a long time to be able to say that. Even in this last like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been seeing a therapist, and we did some EDMR therapy, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that,
Hmm.
but
Love it.
man, love it. Like, it literally changed my life. Like, in the last 2 weeks, like, but I think that's the amazing thing about God or this journey or being alive, is that, like, who you were yesterday isn't necessarily who you have to be tomorrow. And it
No.
can, and sometimes it's a really slow progress, and it's painful and it hurts, and it's like, dude, it's mundane, and you're like, is this even worth it? And then all of a sudden, just boom, and
Mhm.
it's a level up, or it's a change, and it's amazing, and I love it. And I think that's what keeps me motivated to be better, and to walk closer to God, is that, shoot, who I was 6 months ago when we recorded the last episode and who I am today is not the same man. And I think that's cool.
I agree. I think you're pretty cool and ruggedly handsome and fit, funny, and smart, all the stuff that we listed earlier. So just wanted to make sure I got that in again for both of you guys who are amazing. So, do you ever find that with the judgment, maybe it's geographical or a certain age group? And what I mean by that is, so I live in Colorado and people are not really judgy here for the most part. But I went to Virginia a couple weeks ago, and my husband and I were walking into a grocery store, and we had to go to a funeral, so we were dressed really nicely. But you could see the tattoos on my legs. I had on long sleeves, but you could see my leg tattoos. And this woman just gave me the nastiest look
Mhm.
that what I had to call her a bitch because it was just that, you know,
Mhm.
not nice. Do you guys find that, geographically you notice a difference, especially Marcus, because you travel a lot?
Yeah.
James, you're in a pretty liberal area though.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got to travel as much as I'd like recently, and part of that is, just financial reasons, and I'm hoping that changes soon, and I'm sure it will. Um, but what's funny is that, as liberal as it is here in Oregon, and I haven't felt ostracized for my tattoos in a very long time, and I own them, and I don't care where I go, and people look and stare, like, again, like, you're gonna judge me for that, like, without whatever. But what is funny is in class. Uh, Granted, I go to a community college up in Portland, but I do everything online, and I'm like 40 miles southwest of Portland, and it's anyway. That's besides the point. We were doing a class discussion on trans something therapy, right? Like the spiritual aspect of therapy. And it gets, they're talking tarot cards and psychedelic treatments. And I'm like, I chime in with the fact that I'm Christian, man, did I instantly get ostracized by not everybody in that class because it didn't go jive with their liberal, but I got ostracized by the teacher um,
Mhm.
for my Christian. So I think that, and where I live anyway, is more quickly judged than obviously I mean, dude, if there's one thing Portland has, it's tattoos, has tattoo parlors and strip clubs. There's no shortage of either of those two things in my area. Uh, but there's definitely uh, my faith is definitely looked upon differently um, by a lot of people, and that's okay. And I think that's just kind of par for the course, and it goes along with the territory. But as far as being outcasted for my tattoos, I have quit paying attention to that 20 years ago when I first started getting my arms heavily tattooed.
Well, and I will say this. I'm going to use the woman who was not so nice to you, okay, while you guys were in Virginia. And I'll say this, that when someone makes that much of an effort to spew ugliness, verbally or visually or whatever, right now, my first thought is, wow, you are in so much pain. You are in so much pain that you are so angry inside that the only way you can let it out is to find something that annoys you or hurts you and get ugly on it. You know, and it's possibly because of the fact that when, first of all, nobody comes up to me and says anything. Now that could be because of the how I present myself. It could be, whatever it is. But very rarely has anybody ever come up and be like, you know what, those are ugly or you're ugly. And I think that God protects me on that one because I don't know if I have the emotional maturity or spiritual maturity to not punch him in the face. Now, when somebody will say something ugly, the first thing that comes to my mind is, you're really not mad at me. You are really angry at yourself or something else or your scenario. And when I know that it's not about me, it makes it a lot easier. Selma Hayek, if she sat there and said mean words to you in Spanish and you didn't speak Spanish, you would never be offended or upset, right? Because you'd be like, "Oh, wow, is that a new restaurant? Like, what kind of food are you talking about?" Meanwhile, they're calling you everything under the sun. Well, when somebody goes and sits there and says, Marcus, I think you're ugly. I think your tattoos are ugly. I think your God is ugly. I think you're stupid. Well, now if I just took that and made it into Portuguese, wow, wow, I've never been, or is that Brazilian food restaurant that you're talking about? Like they don't have the power if I don't understand, and I choose not to understand ugliness. Now I say that because I've been on the other side of the spectrum. I've said and done things that are cruel and 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 evil. So it's easy for me to smile in the face of ugliness because I understand that they're hurting and they're in pain. And also, I have a cocky attitude of, I can put you in the grave. So when you know that that can happen, you're going to just smile and be kind of dumb animals, which is a saying that I've said many a times. My karate instructor told it to me 30 years ago, and it's kept me out of jail and kept me out of prison. Be kind of dumb animals. Smile. And as James said earlier, kill them with kindness. Yes, you're absolutely right. Take care. Have a nice day. May the fork be with you.
I love that you said, "Oh, I don't know why people never say anything to me." Have you seen yourself? Have you seen yourself, Marcus? This is why people there nobody's gonna come up to you and tell you
But I
anything
want,
negative.
but see now, but Claudia, I want to be approachable. I want people to come to me. Children don't have a problem coming to me, right? So when and dogs don't mind coming to me. So if dogs and children are willing to come to me, and then everybody else is just projecting their fears and insecurities, well, you know what? Go fornicate yourself.
I mean, I'm not the uh, Bruce Wayne that Marcus is, but it's funny how, kind of piggybacking off what you said there about the dogs and children coming up to you. Man, kids love me, dogs love me.
Mhm.
But that's part of my change has been how I present myself in public? Am I
Mhm.
smiling? Am I making eye contact? Do I greet people? Am I being the type of person I want to meet? Am I being the type of person and member of my community that I want to be? And if I'm doing that, then I find that since I have made those changes about me and focus, and not focus is a bad word, um, as I have walked closer to God, as I have allowed His Spirit to change who I am, those changes have made it seem people approach me all the time now because I have changed, because what I am projecting outwardly is not the guy who I was 3 years ago or 15 years ago, who I was trying to be intimidating, and I was trying to look like I was pissed off, and I dressed in black and I was angry because I was all those things. But really I was just insecure and afraid and living in my trauma. But since those things have been removed from me, I find that it's funny that my ex is uh, not even 5 feet tall. She's heavily tattooed, um, but she a lot of trauma and burden and stress and anger in her life. And when we were together, because of her heavily tattooed, she's not threatening. People do judge her, and I pick up on it. And she's like, "Why don't people treat you that same way?" I was like, "Well, because I look happy and I look approachable, and you
Mhm.
don't." I think that's a huge part of it. Like,
Yeah.
I've never personally met Marcus. I'll tell you when I have, for lack of a better word, I fell in love with the man. Um, he did a video, and I can't imagine anyone not being like. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a man, and I know Marcus could break my arms in a second, but it's like I don't see Marcus as being unapproachable. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
he's one of the kindest, brightest lights I've ever had the grace to get to know, and it's I think, man, people just need to, like Marcus said, need to get outside of themselves and let go of whatever's hurting them, and judge not lest you be judged yourself. And I'm
Yeah.
the last person that's going to judge anybody for
all
anything.
all three of us live in condominiums with holes the size of the Grand Canyon in it, broken windows and no roof and doors broken down. So how can any of us on here cast shit on other people when we're walking in that environment, man? I mean,
Exactly.
and there's not a human alive. There's not one adult. There's not one human being alive on this planet that can sit there and say that they are the epitome of perfection. Not one. Not one,
None,
living or
none.
dead. So it's hard to be offended by somebody when you look and you're like, okay. First of all, I don't know if you guys have done any profiling or any kind of like how quickly you can see faults in people, but it's really easy. Usually, people with trauma have great abilities to when they're like, "You're stupid," and you're like, "Okay," and I got that target and that target and that target. And like, God forbid that you insult me and you are someone with visible flaws, because it's so easy to retort. Now, I personally don't go for the obvious if they are heavy or perhaps unattractive physically for whatever reason, something they've done that makes them, usually the fear and anger and hatred inside of them is what makes them ugly. But the easy attack is, well, wow, you really wear that dress. Does Shamu want their clothes back? Like, it'd be easy to say something stupid. Instead, the harder thing is to smile and say, "Okay, I get it. I can see how you would see things that way, and I don't view the same opinion." Um, if I snap and again, God is so patient with me, because when bad people have come by in the last couple of years, they've come at times where I've been on my A game, not when I'm tired, not when I'm grumpy, or when I'm at a weak point. Because when the enemy comes forward to attack me, and I'm weak, I'm going to resort to old actions and behaviors. And the enemy wants me to do that because I worked for him for so long that he's like, "Come on, Marcus, you can just hit them right there in the throat and fracture that trachea, and they'll be gasping for air, and I'm going to be happy." No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit there and do anything that makes the enemy smile. I want them to have headaches. And if they're talking to me and my response steals, kills, or destroys their happiness, then I don't want to say or do anything. And it's that simple.
Amen. Amen. I think that's just for me. That's just the way I'm trying to conduct my life from this moment forward, or whatever moment I'm given forward. Is that I have robbed, stealed, gambled, caused trauma, um, to the people I love most in this whole world, like the people I should have never done those things to, let alone the countless strangers' noses I've broken and people like did horrible, awful things. Like I have caused enough trauma and hurt in this lifetime that I've had so far that I don't want to do that to anyone ever. And like, um, for lack of a better term, and I hope this is all right to say, I sort of use Marcus as my spiritual um, advisor, or my spiritual, what is it in AA when you have your
Oh, sponsor.
sponsor? Yes, Marcus is sort of my spiritual sponsor because uh, there's very much in our stories that are very, very similar. And I asked him about this woman that like I haven't anyway. I was interested in her, and I wanted to make like I've never tried to have a healthy direct relationship with a woman and being honest and open and be like, hey, here's where I'm at and this is what I'm doing. And like, so I asked Marcus, like, hey man, is this okay? Am I approaching this from the right angle? And I think that's just it. It's that, man, when you have done a lot of, and I'm not the worst person on the planet by any means, but well, I've done enough in my life that is so out of character of who I am today, and out of character of the man that God always intended me to be, that I don't want to do that to anybody anymore. Like unless I have to like absolutely defend me or my own, like I don't want to hurt people physically, emotionally, like I don't want to scar anyone. Like that's not why I'm here anymore, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not my purpose. It never was. I was an awesome operative of the enemy.
This is now no longer a podcast for the poor person listening, because I'm saying something directly to James. So anybody who's listening to this, what I'm going to say to him applies to whoever. When you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah. Then just tune in for a second. James, I've got some words right in front of me. I'm going to read them, and they're for you. Shame shows up in a voice and leaves in an echo. Okay, so whatever you've done in the past, every time we bring it forward and we talk about it, I did this, this, and this. Okay. Will you please tell me about what month are we in? We're in March. Would you please
March.
tell me about February 25th shit you took, please? Could you please tell me about it? I'd love to hear about it. Could you please tell
I
me? I
don't.
want details. Could you please share with me that? Okay, I'll make it easy. March 25th. Or March 11th. That's a good day. Can you please March 11th give me the shit that you took?
I
Oh,
don't
you
know if I
can't.
did. Right.
Well, because it's over with and done, and you don't think about it.
Right.
It does not define you. The shit that you did this morning does not define the shit that you're going to do tomorrow. It's over with, done. So
Right.
quit bringing up. And I'm saying this to you, one finger pointing at you, three more pointed back at me, because we sit there and use our past as the motivator to why you should listen to me because I've done A, B, and C. Well, it's simple. I've done bad things. Anybody in the room done bad things? Yes. Excellent. All right, let's move on.
Like to be honest with you, that's part of what I've been doing the EDMR therapy on. And like so like this last like 3 weeks is like the first time I can truly say I can look back on what and like I, I can't explain it, man. Like the last therapy session I did, it literally like took me like probably 2 hours of just like sitting there in silence, and like I literally felt lighter. Like
Mhm.
something was taken away from, and no, and I'm not trying to rehash that. I'm just saying my point was is that yes, I have done a lot, but that's not who I am today. And I just don't
Mhm.
want to hurt people in general. I mean, I don't have no desire to cause any pain for anybody. So my job is to approach everybody with the same love and grace
Mhm.
and mercy that has been shown to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Sorry there, Claudia.
I mean, this is amazing. You guys kind of teed up where I want to go next, and that is your friendship and kind of mentor mentee, spiritual sponsee relationship that you guys formed. I mean, basically, online over social
Mhm.
media is how it started. So, Marcus, I want to ask you, how does it feel to you to know that you have such a special place in James's life and that you are that mentor to him and that the road you have traveled inspires him?
Um, I look at it in a very simple way. I believe that God takes people out of my life because he hears conversations that I don't know, and he puts people in my life because he's heard conversations that I don't know. And the fact that James has been placed, it's not James, we have been placed in each other's lives as this journey, and accountability and the ability to bounce things off or reach out before you think you might do something that maybe you shouldn't, or whatever. um it's a blessing, and I cherish people as they are here in my life at this point.
Amen.
And I'm thankful and grateful for those opportunities. As I stated earlier, James will send me a text message in the morning. If I don't get a text message from James in the morning, my radar goes up, and then, like, okay, he's got another couple of hours. I don't know, maybe life's going on. If by midday or nighttime I haven't heard from him, then I'm gonna get on the phone, be like, what the hell's going on here, buddy? Um, and that's just our way, right? Is it's been better because he's now. I'd rather talk offline than online, right?
Agreed.
Like if I have access to your phone or you have access to my phone, I want text messages so I can send stupid videos or stupid gifs or gifs, or like I want, when I'm dead, I want you to look back at our history and be like, wow, he did something pretty funny there. Oh, I didn't like that one. That's my main thing, is I want my memories with people when I'm dead. I want James or you, Claudia, or anybody that I've had interactions with. I want you to look back on text messages or messaging and be like, that's our memory, that's our time. Because most of the time it won't be in person, right? Like that's just the way it is. I won't see them in person unless I'm blessed to be able to be in that area, which I would only go in that area for two reasons: Thunder Ranch or him. That's the only reason I would go into Oregon whatsoever. There's no other reason for me to go. Either Clint Smith and Clinton Heidi, or I'm going to see him. Um, so I don't know if I answered the question, but that's where I'm at with that.
You did, and I wanna say, I mean, you can't even pump your own gas in Oregon, so that's
Man,
You've lost. I'm sorry, you've lost me. Pardon me.
you cannot pump your own fuel into your car in Oregon.
What's
They
the rationale for that?
so they can charge us more money per gallon than any state in the union because we are still paying almost $4 a gallon for gas.
And so
I
it's not self serve. It's somebody else comes and does it.
Yes,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah,
can't. So the first time it ever happened to me, nobody warned me. So I get out of the car and this guy, with his little vest on runs over and he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, what do you want?" And I'm like, "No, I got it." And he's
yeah,
like, "Oh no, that you can't do that here. You'll get in
yeah.
trouble."
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So you
All right.
can't.
Wow. I'm telling you right now, there's certain things I will not miss when I am dead and buried, and the stupidity of humanity is one of them. That is definitely something I will not be I'll be looking down, going, wow. And now keep in mind that stupidity about the gas thing has manifested in, like, I'm sure during the caveman days, somebody went to pick up a rock and somebody was like, oh no, you can't do that. And so
Right.
stupidity as a human being has happened since we could actually form thoughts. So anyways,
Yes.
yeah.
I
So
agree with that. I will tell you, New Jersey does that too, so you're not the only state.
Right.
James, I want to ask from your perspective, how tough was it as a man? And you already said like it's hard for men to ask for help, it's hard for men to get therapy, it's hard for men, to reach out to other people. How tough was it for you originally to reach out to Marcus when you felt like you needed to connect with him? Was that tough? And how has it been having him in your life since then?
Um, well, I'll tell you, um, the main reason why I wanted to connect with Marcus is a mutual friend of ours and somebody you should have on this show, Kenny Mitchell. Flag
Kenny.
me in a live. Oh, dude, Kenny is okay.
Yeah.
Now to there's 5 people in this world that I want to emulate, right? Marcus Torgerson, Kenny Mitchell, Sam Moncrief, who you don't know, but if Sam would be willing, Sam is up. Tim Yet, and my great uncle Gene. Like if I can take little pieces of these 5 men and apply what I need to learn from them, like I'm gonna be, uh, I'm gonna, when I will be good. And Marcus did a live, and he talked about his addiction. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Marcus, but
No,
he started crying when he was talking about getting sober, and I saw this look in his eyes, and it was the first time in my journey that I saw somebody. I'm like I'm like I didn't even matter. Like if he would have told me, "Hey, dude, you're weird and annoying," which I probably wasn't first, like, and it would have blown me off. I would have been like, "Hey, at least he reached out," um, because I don't know. I just saw this look, and I'm like, that's the same look I have in my eyes, and I'm like, I want to like here he's further along in this journey than I am, and I need to know like how he got to where he is, right? And I think that's just it. Is that this whole man, God is awesome, and like Marcus said earlier, is like I removed everyone from my life, like through addiction and then through growth. Like I got so depressed that I just isolated for 5 years. Like I didn't go anywhere for 5 years, and that pretty much pushed all the people out of my life. But then as I started getting sober and started to change and grew spiritually and grew physically and mentally, um, that repelled a lot of people that were from my past.
hmm yeah.
And that's okay. Like I've learned to be okay with being alone, but man, to be able to like just Marcus is very gracious and kind, and um, I don't know if I would be where I am today without him and a few others. And I'll put Rob Lewis in that conversation too. If I I don't know if I would be where I'm at today spiritually or emotionally without their influences in my life. And uh, every morning I do the same thing as Marcus does. I get up. I said, "Thank you, Lord, for letting my feet touch the ground." I walk out to my sink. I get a 22-ounce glass of water, and I chug it. And that whole time I'm chugging it, I'm saying things I'm grateful for. And Marcus and Rob and everybody else I just listed, you, Claudia, all these people that, I mean, I think that's okay. I'm going to get off on a tangent here. There is a underground swelling of amazing things happening even despite the ugliness of social media. There is a spiritual rebirth, there is growth, there are amazing people doing amazing things, uh, and there's a little community that's growing. And I think that is amazing in and of itself. That uh, the three of us have been able to connect um, because of God. Like there's no other reason, right? There's no. I'm 1,500 miles away from Marcus. I'm 1,000 miles away from you, like, and here we are having this conversation because somehow our paths crossed, and it's amazing. And man, I just hope that when it's my turn to have a little brother or whatever you want to call it, that I am available and I am there to share my wisdom and experiences as freely as Marcus and other men uh, who I've asked for help have. And I mean, I think that's awesome. And I think that's what we're called to do, is to be in service of others.
Truth. Truth.
I want to talk to you guys a little bit about fatherhood, single fatherhood in particular. What would you say is the most difficult thing for you? And then what is one thing that you really want to make sure that you pass on to your kids?
All right. This morning, my living situation is awkward, and my son and I, who just turned 16 on St. Patrick's Day, we share a room. Because it's really stupid expensive to live in Oregon. And as a single father, it's I'm going to school. I'm not quite working full time. It's expensive, and this is just the situation we're living in. And I think what I shared with him this morning was that, like, in spite of everything that he's experienced in his life, having to deal with me and his mom, his past, the situation we're in currently, that he has learned to thrive and he is stronger. Like I can't buy the opportunity. I can't send him to things like the Squire program. He doesn't need it. He's had to live through things tougher than crawling in the gravel. You know what I mean? And he wants to go to the Naval Academy, and that's what I shared with him today. I was like, despite everything that you've had to deal with, you have come out stronger. And he set a PR on his bench press today, so that was awesome. But I'm like, you have come out stronger. I think, and with my daughter too, is that, she's a little bit harder to reach, but through what I have been able to do and change in the way God has graced me, and given me fortitude that I didn't even know I have, she has been able to branch out. She's a wallflower. She's very quiet and shy, but man, she went to a state competition for parliamentary pro with FFA. She got up on stage and spoke, and I couldn't be prouder of my kids. And if they ever know one thing, is that I just want them to know that I love them, and I'm so proud of the human beings they are, because their lives have not been easy, and they have every excuse to be shitty people, and they're not, and that is fucking awesome.
Nice. Well, and I just gave him shit about talking about shit about the past, so I got to be careful because I have a standard script that I usually answer for this question. Regarding fatherhood, it is a very big blister on my heart, because I am not the father that my son Logan or my son Malik. I mean, I've had him in my life forever. So it is a subject that I use more as a don't do what I did situation. My son, for those that don't know, my son his name's Logan. His birthday's coming up. He'll be 25, and he has a severe case of cerebral palsy. He's a quadriplegic, and I haven't seen him in 8 years. There's things that go with it, and there's no parent alive that doesn't have stuff that they think about, the shame or guilt that they've done something as a parent, that they're sure their kids are going to hold against them for their entire lives. And the funny part is the stuff that we hold on to, kids hold on to other shit. Now, I don't know if my son has thoughts about my dad's a dick and I hate him. I don't even know if that's in his mental capabilities. He's nonverbal. However, it's never too late. Oh, keep it together, Marcus. It's never too late to be the father or mother or parent to your child that you want to be. Now, that doesn't mean that your child's going to accept you, but it's never too late to hug them if the chance comes in, tell them that you love them. And I'll say this, my son Malik, who's in Australia right now, he's a music producer. He produces wicked awesome music. For a lot of years, he was angry at me because of the way that, I was drinking and his mother and his, I was not such a nice person. And he was angry about it. And he let me know. I respect him for it. And then he came up and he said, I want to thank you for being the father to me that you were, because the people of my generation are a bunch of pussies. And I was like, what? He said, you were so hard on me and making sure that my work ethic was solid, that plus his mother's work ethic is amazing. She's an incredible businesswoman. So his work ethic is solid. And so here I am thinking that this kid hates me, that I'm going to hang myself because of how much of a shitty father I am. And he throws out this message out of nowhere. So I say that to say this, that for those listening who, you don't have a relationship with your kids the way you want, it's never too late to reach out. And I would recommend that you reach out knowing or accepting that perhaps it won't be met with what you want. Very rarely is it like in the movies and there's slow music and they're running towards you with tears and joy in their eye and they hug you and they say, I love you all the time. It's just that Hallmark lies. Okay. But it's never too late. And that is, I think, the most important message, not just as a parent. I mean, it goes to everything, but because of your question specifically, being a single mother, single father, parents, people who are together and being parents, it's never too late to tell the child that you love them, and say you're sorry. Anyways, there's that.
Well, now that I have made you guys both emotional, and all the listeners and viewers are probably grabbing tissues right now, we are going to switch gears here for a minute. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which we kind of hit on earlier, but that's tattoos. We all have tattoos. James is the only one cool enough to show them right now because Marcus and I are both in hoodies. So let's talk about, Marcus, I know you don't have any new tattoos. Do we have plans for new tattoos at some
Yeah,
point?
I got a whole
Sure.
sleeve that's ready. Like, actually, I shouldn't say I have the idea of a sleeve. I know that there will be a sleeve and chest added. There will be, other whatever's left will be done. I have one of the best tattoo artists around. He's in California, Jason Lawson, 13 gauge tattoos. I mean, he's phenomenal. So it's really more time. Like, I shouldn't even just mention him. I've got people all over the world who are solid cats, who are phenomenal. However, if I go there, I need a couple of days. I will say this, that I know for sure that my faith will be somewhere very large in my next sessions, and that's has nothing to do with, because just because you wear a cross doesn't mean you're a Christian. You can have a tattoo of Jesus, that doesn't mean you're a nice person. um, I'm going to put them on because, like everyone else, you usually get a tattoo because there has some type of significance to you, and that's all that should matter. So I will be doing something related to my belief on there. I just don't know what it's going to be. And when you're 54, tattooing, thankfully it's changed quite a bit, because when he did my Phoenix, I was like, okay, this sucks, but I don't remember it. It didn't hurt as much as I remembered the other ones being done. Like, the technology now is phenomenal. That being said, it's still not that great of fun to spend 6 hours doing like, oh Lord. So, and I might, so I have a tattoo from when I was married that says "till death." I mean, I know it says "till death." Right now, it looks like somebody sneezed on my hand. But I'll probably just put my sobriety date on the other side, because it's, even if I should be blessed by God to get married again, yeah, that just doesn't seem cool. So I'm just gonna put my sobriety date on the other side, because that I know for sure will be forever, until, like, I don't have to worry about it when I'm in heaven. But while I'm on earth, there won't be any more alcohol in my body.
I do want to tell you, one of my more recent tattoos is my
Look at
faith
that.
as well.
Oh,
So
girl, look at that.
yeah.
That is fire. Nicely
Oh,
done.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, James, talk to us
Oh,
about your most painful tattoo first.
Uh,
traditional, like, kind of gypsy lady with a dagger through her head, and it goes up into my armpit. And
Mm-mm.
man, I that's like the one time, like, and the guy who did that, unfortunately doesn't tattoo anymore. Like, I lost touch with him, but last I heard, he got in a motorcycle, like a bad motorcycle accident, and broke both his arms. The dude was phenomenally talented. Also had more children than any one man should have, with multiple. Anyway, uh, dude, that was like, kind of like Marcus said, like, you never want to look like a wuss in a tattoo shop. But boy, I tell you what, like, he's like, I got a little bit more cut. That's like the one time I'm like, nope, you're done, and I'm
yeah,
standing
yeah,
up. Like, dude, you're
yeah,
heavy
yeah.
handed. You're just
I'm tapping
right
out.
in my arm, right in my armpit. I'm just like, okay, that's enough. That was probably, and then I also have my whole right side of my rib cage done, and it goes up to just inside my
Mm.
armpit, and that like 5 hours of that was just like when I was all I can handle. And honestly, I haven't been tattooed in 10 years. I actually have an appointment with my kid's mom. She's a tattoo artist next Monday,
Do you get a
and
discount?
I get it for free,
That's
which is
awesome.
weird because she's a solid, great little tattoo artist. But it was always one of those things like I've she's only tattooed me a little bit compared to how tattooed I am. People are like, "Oh, she must have done all of it." I'm like, "No, like man, she has to work." You know what I
So what
mean?
are you
Like
getting?
uh, two things. I'm getting a faith tattoo. I found this really cool traditional because I love like Americana style tattooing. Jesus head with with the crown of thorns on my lower pec, and then a cross on this side. But I'm also gonna like the first thing I'm gonna do is won't quit on my throat.
Wow. Will it be backwards or will it be in?
Well, I don't know. It'll be
Because you remember
no,
that
not
guy
be
Indian
backwards.
Larry? You remember
Yeah,
Indian Larry?
yeah,
How
oh
he
yeah,
had
yeah,
that one. It was that it would be
backwards.
backwards. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he would
well, it
see it in the
probably will
mirror.
mirror it
Yeah. Yeah.
correctly,
Yeah.
right? Right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's it. Man, it hurts so bad. It's like
I'm sweating just
I'm
thinking
not even
about
gonna
it.
like I like that's the main reason why I haven't been tattooed in 10 years. It's like, man, it's like dude, it hurts. And I have
Yeah,
a
your skin gets soft. Soft skin's a real thing, man.
it
Like for
is it's like
real.
I have a buddy who is actually originally from Texas. His name is Bobby Love. Bobby is like a phenomenal artist. Like he actually quit tattooing to become a monk. He was you look him up and you can find the story about him. The dude's just phenomenal. And last time we sat down and had, if we ever get on the phone, it's like an hour and a half conversation. But we were talking about it, and Bobby is like makes me look untattooed. And I'm like, when's the last time you got tattooed? Because we were just like kind of both kind of like, I haven't been tattooed in so long. And I'm like, why? Because like I know why, but like Bobby got a heart tattooed in his hand one time at the because
Oh,
my ex-wife used to work with, and he fell asleep like getting his palm of his hand tattooed, his like
nope.
heart in his hand, and I'm like, but I want to hear him say, like, I know why he doesn't want to do it, you know what I mean? But I want to hear him
Yeah.
say because it hurts,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he did. I'm like, all right, good, I know that's why I haven't been like I used to be able to sit for like 6-7 hours, and like now I'm
Yeah.
like 2 hours. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
nope, I'm done.
Yep. Yep. Done. Yep.
Like I'm done.
You know,
I went
in
to a.
oh,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I went to an event this last or 2 weekends ago in South Carolina, and there's a company that I love called Johnny Slicks, and they do
Oh
grooming
yeah,
and hair.
yeah,
And
great
I
product.
was all great products, and so I was chatting with Johnny Slicks, the owner, and I'm looking at him, and he's got the Johnny Slicks logo tattooed on his hand, and we've been talking about tattoos. He goes, bro, he goes, I wanted to kill people. He said the guy, he thought it was just going to be the outline. And then the guy's like, no, we should fill it in. And Johnny's like, as he's describing, I wish I could do justice for him. He's like, and then he goes, yeah, we'll shade it in a little bit. And you know what? The eye should be red. And every time he kept adding something, Johnny's like body would slump. And I was sweating. And oh my goodness, he's lucky he didn't get stabbed. That's something, you know what? Actually, Claudia, if you ever want a good story, Johnny Slicks and his wife, they are phenomenal, and their products are the shit. Like
They
not
are great
shitty,
products.
like the shit. Like
Yeah, they're excellent
phenomenal.
products.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways.
No, I was just gonna say, in the Netherlands, so I'm sure they do this in other countries, they only tattoo like in 2 or 3 hour blocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I tell my friend, I have a friend there, and I'm like, yeah, that was an 8 hour tattoo, like from this long. And she's like, they did it all at once. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, like what's
Yeah.
the other option? Yeah, they do it in like 2 hour, 3 hour
Well, so the
blocks.
skin will heal and come back, and I mean the Dutch are. I mean, they've got a lot of positives. You know, the Dutch are amazing in a lot of ways. It's a good country. They're very logical in how they do things, very methodical.
But I just want to knock it out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
amen. Yes, I listen, preaching to the choir, and that is why us as I'm a Canadian, but us in America, North America, we're like, look, I don't enjoy this.
Right. Not
Right?
fun.
This isn't a sexual encounter. I want this done and buried so I can move on. Next.
But
Yes.
to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, a sexual encounter. I know this is going to sound
Oh
odd.
Lord. Not sure
No,
where
no,
you're going.
not that weird. But
Where
like
are we going?
that's something I've honestly thought about. Is that like I think part of me used to get tattooed like as
Mhm.
a penance. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like as
yeah,
like, dude, like as like I had this image of what I thought of, and it was like, "Yeah, here, sit here for 8 hours and endure this pain because you're bad."
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know?
For sure. Yeah, that isn't where I thought you were going, but I agree.
no,
Same.
There's something,
no,
and
I mean, we could go there, but I would
no,
be
no, that's good. I'm good with that. Yeah. How about them Yankees? All
okay.
right.
Woo! When you get your next tattoo, Sanoderm will change your life. It's
How so?
basically it's like a sticker that they put over the tattoo when you're done,
Oh,
so you
okay.
can take a shower. Like it
Right.
doesn't hurt when you lay
Right.
on it. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's like that, like extra skin that's like kind of like,
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you don't
I
ruin your
I have heard.
sheets.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
kid's mom
Yeah.
was using that for a while. Like dude, I'm old school, like, cause I like traditional tattoos, and they end up being packed full of color. Like, I gotta leave that shit wrapped for like 2 days and cover it and let it ooze, or otherwise, like, I heal rough.
it
Like,
still
just let it push.
oozes. It oozes.
I know, but like, I have to keep it wrapped, otherwise, like, dude, I push all that color. I don't know.
Where can people find you guys? So if they want to connect with you guys on social media, James, if they want to come hold your hand when you get your throat tattoo, Marcus, if they want to come hang out with you and have a steak, where can people find you?
On Instagram at Healing Scars, or on Facebook, just search my name. And man, if you need to reach out, or if you feel lost, or you just need a friend, man, I'm always available to give some encouraging words, because, as I stated earlier, so many people have been so kind and gracious to me that, Marcus included, that have helped my journey uh, be a little less, a little taking a lot of the guesswork out of what to do. So, man, I just want to be able to pay that forward.
And I'm on everything that I'm on social media is my name, Marcus Torgerson. It's usually Instagram's one word. There's 2 Facebook pages, my website, like everything's my name. And I am not quite as generous as James. Don't be messaging me if you want a warm shoulder, because I have a tough love approach to things, as James knows, and I am not for everybody.
I'm probably not for everybody either, because I mean, I even struggle with that with my son. I'm just like, you know, uh, sometimes he wants his mother's approach, and when he approaches me, and then he's like, "That's not what I wanted you to, what I wanted you to say." I'm like, "I know it's not what you wanted me to say, but it's what you needed to hear." Like,
Yeah,
I am, there. I'm all about being honest and direct. And
yeah,
if honest and direct is not for you, then don't reach
yeah,
out.
So if you're okay with tough love, honesty, and being direct, these are the
yeah,
two guys to
yeah.
contact. Marcus and
Yes.
James, you guys have been absolutely amazing today. I truly appreciate your time, and I'm so grateful to know you both and call you friends. So thank you.
Amen.
Oh,
Me
you're
too.
awesome.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media so you'll never miss what's going on. Remember, until next week, you are strong enough, you are worth it. Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. And on YouTube, we're on the Spear Talk channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Strong Enough Pod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.